Page 182, Chapter 10. Determination of the Disciples. And he called his 12 disciples, and the 17 disciplesses, and also his confidant, Maria Magdalena, and his mother to him, and gave them the knowledge for controlling the unclean spirits, or delusional constructions, delusional thoughts, etc., so they could drive them out, and so they would also be able to heal every illness and all shortcomings through the deep word, or suggestion, and thus, through the deep word, or hypnosis, penetrating into the spirit, or consciousness, and through all kinds of herbal drinks, and ointments, and salts. These are the names of the 12 disciples: Simeon or Simon, called Petrus or Peter, and Andreas or Andrew, his brother, Jacobus or James, the son of Zebedeus or Zebedee, and Johannes or John, his brother, Philippus or Philip, and Bartholomaeus or Bartholomew, Thomas and Matthias or Matthew, the tax collector, Jacobus or James, the son of Alphaeus or Alphaeus, and Thaddeus or Thaddeus, Simeon Canaeus or Simon Canaeus, and I, Judas Ischkerioth, the only one, other than Emmanuel, who understands handwriting. The names of the 17 disciplesses, apart from Maria or Mary, the mother of Emmanuel, and Maria Magdalena or Mary Magdalene, his confidant associated to him, or confidant associated in friendship, are these: Judith, Sarah, Lee or Leah, Tabea or Tabitha, Suzanne or Susan, Ruth, Rebecca, Rika or Rika, Rahel or Rachel, Esther, Naomi or Naomi, Martha, Miriam, Magdalena or Magdalene, Eva Maria or Eve Mary, Elizabeth, and Delilah. Emmanuel sent forth these 12 disciples and 17 disciplesses, commanding them and saying, quote, "Do not go into the streets of the God-believers, and do not go to the scribes and Pharisees, but go into the cities of the Samaritans, and to the unknowing in all directions unto the end of all the world, or all around the world. Once I have left you, go to those who lack understanding, and to the idol worshippers and the unknowing, and do so because they do not belong to the house of the God-believers, which, for over 2 times 1,000 years and more, will bring death and bloodshed into the land and unto the ends of the world, or all around the world. Go out and teach and say, quote, the laws of the nature are the laws of the creation, and the power of the spirit of the human being, or consciousness within human beings, embodies the life on the firm or earth. But be cautious in your doing of the teaching, for it should not be impelling, or not be proselytizing. Heal the sick, raise the living dead, or the unknowing with regard to the teaching of the truth. Free sufferers from their affliction and from their anxiety. Drive out evil spirits, or delusional constructions, delusional thoughts, etc., by the deep word or suggestion, and by the deep word or hypnosis, reaching into the spirit or consciousness, and thus heal in this wise. You received without having to pay. Give, therefore, without compensation. No repayment or reward should stand in line for you, or be taken by you, for love and peace and consonance, or harmony. Take only bed and board given in love and renunciation, or selflessness, And so you shall also have food and drink, and a place where you can lay your head to rest, so that you can also eke out your existence. Consider well every demanded or commanded fulfillment of duty, and effort or work, for wages or remuneration, is worthy of its compensation or reward. But the teaching is not a demanded or commanded effort or fulfillment of duty which demands a repayment or a reward. The teaching of the prophets, that is, the teaching of the truth, teaching of spirit, teaching of life, is given as an unbidden or voluntary fulfillment of duty, of a determination or mission, which is fulfilled without distinct wages or remuneration, or affirmation, or agreement/work and wage agreement. You shall not amass gold, silver, or copper in your belts, but when you give balms, or remedies equals herbal drinks, herbal ointments, salts, for healing, or otherwise give any things which you yourselves must settle, or pay for, so a measure or price shall be paid to you for these. Also, on your travels you shall not take large bags with you, wherein to carry food, water, and clothing. Go on your way with only that which you have need of, or the bare essentials, for eating and drinking and sleeping, for keeping yourselves clean, and for a change of clothing. Never carry many things with you, because you would only burden yourselves and become welcome victims of waylaying bandits. Remember furthermore what I have said. Every endeavor or work is worthy of its compensation or reward, and you will not be wanting if you diligently comprehend or learn and teach and disseminate the knowledge. When you go into a city or into a village, inquire if someone is there who is worthy, and stay with him or her, if you are accepted as a guest, until you depart. If the house is worthy, your peace will pass on to the occupants, but if the house is not worthy, your peace will return to you when you leave it. And if someone will not take you in or listen to your words of teaching, leave that house or that city, and shake the dust from your feet. Truly, I say to you, do not stay at such places, because they are abodes of unknowing evil. The human beings there will not comprehend the words of the truth and the knowledge, so they do not want to recognize them, or the knowledge and the truth, and they will try to take your life there at a suitable time or opportunity. Flee from those places, because their residents are disloyal to the creation, and thus to the laws of the nature. The people there worship shrines, gods, tin gods, and images or idols, but they do not appreciate the creation, nor do they follow its laws. Flee from those places, for the human beings there will try to take your life, because they are not willing to leave their false and confused teachings. Flee from such unfair ones, because you must not lose your life for the sake of the truth and the knowledge. No law demands it of you, nor is there one that endorses such unconsiderateness or recklessness. Truly I say to you, many, nevertheless, will die, and they will shed their blood into the sand, because later my teaching will be turned into confused teachings, as I have never taught them, and which originate in the heads or minds of the scribes and the priests and zealots or fanatics of new cults or religions, sects. Thereby they will bring the human beings under their Gewalt or control, through belief in their false and confused teachings, in order to rob them of their goods and chattels. In all the world, or all around the world, there will be wailing and chattering of teeth when the blood flows from all those who have made my teaching of the wisdom and the knowledge into false and confused teachings, and have forgotten the teaching of the prophets. And the blood will flow from all of those who, in their confused belief, and through evil seduction, follow these false and confused teachings of the cults, or religions, sects. And I believe and advocate these, which are truly not my teachings, and which I have never taught. Many of these confused cult believers will lose their lives, including many of the people of the God believers in this land, which, i.e. the land, will never find its peace until the end of all confusion, or end of political and religious confusions, because it is unknowing and unwise and denies the power of the laws, or the laws of creation, of the spirit of the creation, and of the law, and of the love, and of the knowledge. Truly I say to you, the people of the God-believers were not a distinct people, or originating from within, and their forefathers lived in old time by murder, robbery, and fire. For through cunning and murder they got together in reprehensible war campaigns, and gained possession of the land. So they made their best of friends drunk with wine, and slaughtered them like wild animals. So it will be in the coming time that even the God-believers of all peoples in the world, or worldwide, will do the same, and will shed human blood in great measure, and will gain new land by deprivation of life, or murder, and destruction, and warlike bloody deeds, or murder by war, as did the forefathers of the people in this land. So will the God-believers of all cultish attitudes, or kinds, forms, every cultish religious direction equals all religions and sects, do in the coming time, because of the false teachings of the cults, or religions, sects, which will be evilly and confusedly made from my teaching by the zealots or fanatics of the cults, religions, sects, will be followed, from which terrible things and unpeace will arise. So it will be that every wrong cult will rise up against the other and mercilessly spill human blood into the distant time to come, or future, and unto the ends of the world, or worldwide. And it will be that hordes fallen ill to God-believing zeal will form, so through them threat and Gewalt, or terrorism, and bloody deeds or murder, and ruin or destruction will be carried out or spread unto the ends of the world, or worldwide. Thus the God-believers will be ostracized until the end of the confusion, or end of political and religious confusions, and they will never find rest nor give rest until then. For by the mixed, or different kinds of, God-beliefs of the peoples, extreme or tremendous hatred will come into being and expand over the whole world, or worldwide. Behold, I am sending you among the unknowing, among the servants of gods, and servants of tin gods, like sheep among the predators. Therefore, be wise as serpents, and innocent as doves. But beware of these God-believers, for they will turn you over to the courts, and scourge you in their temples and torturing courts. And you will be led before sovereigns and kings, and the cult mighty, or religious leaders, sect gurus, because of my teaching, as a testimony of deterrence, or that they do not turn away from their God-belief, to them, or the God-believers, and to all other unknowing ones. If you cannot flee, and they turn you over to the courts, do not be concerned, because the power of your spirit, or consciousness, will not leave you, and your knowledge will tell you what you should say. For it will not be you who speak, but the power of your spirit, or consciousness, with its knowledge. And you will come to be hated for the sake of the teaching of the prophets, and, thus, for the sake of my teaching. But those who persevere to the end will ultimately be great, or those who preserve knowledge, truth, and love will be great and satisfied. When they persecute you in one city, however, then flee and go into another. Do not go to too much trouble with the cities of the God-believers, for truly I say to you, you will get nowhere with these people unto the world's end, or all around the world, and until the teaching of the prophets becomes followed by all human species. Thus, Go only to those who search for the truth and, thus, for the laws and recommendations of the creation, because the teaching bears good fruit and brings love and peace and consonance or harmony only among them. Truly know this: a disciple never stands above the teacher, nor the servant above his master. But so does no human being stand above another, and thus, also, no teacher above a disciple or discipless, as well as no master above his servant, and no husband above his wife, and no wife above her husband. It is enough for the disciple to be like his teacher, and the servant like his master, and every human being like another human being, or all human beings are as such are of equal value. And the woman like the man, and the man like the woman, in equality, and equally, or with equal rights, and without any difference. If the evil ones have called the master of the house Beelzebub, how much more then will each one of his household be called such? Therefore beware of the God-believers, because they are like a festering boil. They speak pious, or God-fearing words, and make seemingly pious or sanctimonious speeches, to lure or bewitch human beings, so that their false god may win them as believers. But then, when it comes to their own gain or profit, then their true appearance or face quickly or suddenly peeks out. So they are like snorting or slavering predators, and then beat their poison fangs into the bodies of their victims. However, do not be afraid of them, because there is nothing hidden that will not be evident, and nothing secret that will not come to knowledge. What is said to you in darkness or in secrecy, speak in the light or openly, and what is whispered into your ear, teach loudly from the rooftops. Do not be afraid of evil slanders or calumnies, nor fear those who take life and limb. You should not think that I have come to bring peace on the earth. Truly, I have not come to bring peace, but the sword of knowledge about the power of the Spirit, or consciousness, which dwells within the human being. Thus, I have come to bring wisdom and knowledge, and to provoke the human beings. Son against father, daughter against her mother, servant against master, citizen against government, and believer against false teacher and priest, so that each one speaks with another among themselves and searches for the truth and finds it. And the human beings' enemies will be they themselves, and so their own housemates. The way of the truth is long, and the wisdom of the knowledge will only penetrate slowly. And it will be that dark times will follow, many hundreds of years, and even 2 times 1,000 years and more, before the truth of the knowledge of the Spirit, or spiritual knowledge, will penetrate into the people, or humankind. Those who are unfair and unknowing hate those who have knowledge. Thus, since old time, they have tracked them down or pursued them, and sowed enmity with them. Also the scribes and the priests, and the zealots or fanatics, of the cults or religions, sects. And the authorities do so, and will do so, into the time to come, or future.